Hello everyone, we're gonna continue our adventure with our friend Sorcerer, Zero to Hero. In the last episode we finished Act 3 and we are about to enter Act 4 into the Imperial era. Let's go.
This place is peaceful.
You have my approval.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Let's go. I'll mute the alerts now for the YouTube boys. Ooh, golden sword. Looks beautiful, Lucas. Alright, let's go. In this area, we are gonna face a new threat. We're gonna be facing necrotic enemies for the first time. So we are moving from a void heavy area into a heavy necrotic area. So I recommend, like, as soon as you get and there will be a hub right here, and this is where we are gonna kind of like adjust a bit our gear in order to proceed. You can see here we have a few quests to gather and so on. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look into my gear and see if there's anything that we can do. Obviously we haven't gathered much because it's the beginning of the game, but still, we have a lot of void, and as we mentioned before, void is not going to be that important now. But we do have some health regen and physical resistance, which is going to be more important now. So we're going to equip this instead. As I mentioned, necrotic resistance and physical resistance are going to be important right now. So as you can see, we have some necrotic resistance right here. So let's see if we get some more. Unfortunately for us, we don't have any more necrotic resistance in our gear, but do we have some physical resistance? So we will craft it. There it is. We get some 5% phys resistance. It's not huge, but it's better than anything, right? It's better than nothing, sorry. And that's what we have, so let's proceed.
Yes?
Let's grab our quests. We need to help them stop the Empire. The Empire is like some sort of like skeleton army, and we are basically kind of like joining the resistance kind of thing. There's the first time you will see the forge, and you will be introduced to crafting. In order to bring up the forge, just press F anywhere in the world.
What do you want?
We grab all our quests, and let's go get them. Again, I'd say we're pretty well prepared. We have some armor for the physical damage. It's not that bad. Not that bad. We are a bit squishy, but again, we do have flameboard in case things get a bit nasty. And we do have some necrotic protection for us. So, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Again, remember we're doing our trustworthy glacier combo with mana strike. So we're gonna be just fine. Lightning resistance. This is gonna be important, and you will see why. Let's remember. Oh, silver ring also. Not really. Nothing good that we want. There's gonna be a boss, like in a basically at the end of this act, that has a lot of lightning damage, but it's still a bit far away. But it will be quite important to have that relic that we just grabbed. Okay, I feel pretty tanky from the hits that I'm taking, so we should be able to just like kind of like rush this a bit. Guardian, that's really nice for crafting. We got a passive point, we'll get there in a second. Plated belt, that's an upgrade because it comes with armor. A lot of armor and a lot of lightning resistance. Pretty nice. But we're getting damage from this at the moment, so But to be honest, our damage is fine. So I'll equip this. Our armor is now at 21 instead of 16. Pretty nice. As you can see, I am fairly tanky, even though I'm getting hit by the archers and stuff. Careful with, because this guy is elemental damage. You can just skip him, but he just does this attack basically. We can kill him for the sake of just showing off what he does. You can fight this. You can encounter this enemy in the end game, like when you're mapping. So getting familiar with him might be a good idea. He just has like this like flamethrower looking thing and some projectiles. He's a pretty simple enemy. Good stuff. We get some boots. Let's see what we got. Nope, nothing. No. So let's proceed. Imperial, well written. So right now, if you actually recognize the name of Welrin, it's actually the city we were on the Ruined era, right? When we defeated the horrors and all of those void creatures right before the temple on the previous episodes. So we are basically visiting this city when it was dominated by the Imperium. And obviously we're gonna kill them all. I like taking the lower quest first. Immortalize, pretty dangerous enemy, especially in the end game when they scale. Basically they lock a position on you and they do the spinning attack. You gotta kind of like learn how to juggle around it, you know. Like they normally just lock a position and they choose where they're aiming. So just be careful with them. They are pretty nasty later on because you can like spawn multiple of them and stuff. They explode when they're low HP. Be careful with the explosion. They're like self-detonate if they feel like they're in like really low HP. I'll see you, Lucas, in the chat. Un besito. Alright, let's go for our quests. Chimeras, another interesting enemy. They're basically like mortar-based creature. Those creatures that were throwing like necrotic damage at me. They also have like a big attack, so be careful. They are not only just like distance. This is a soul spear, this attack that this guy is doing. He will like charge his spear, you can see there, and he will proceed to like throw it at you, right? Maybe let's see if he does it again. There, see, if you get hit by that, you can, it's a one shot. It can definitely fuck you up, so keep that in mind, especially when the enemies scale later on the mapping. So get familiar with their animations, so you can recognize it.
Gods be with you.
All right. Let's proceed. Now, before we continue, there is one of the most interesting quest lines in the game that we have to go and kind of like start. It's a quest that takes over in different time zones, so a lot of new players kind of like struggle to complete this quest because they don't understand its mechanics. So we'll go pick it up really quick. It's this one right here. You gotta open this door. The Great College. So this is where people get stuck. You know, you get into the Great College, you kill the enemies, right, that are guarding the door, and then you try to you will interact with this door trying to get in, and the person who is inside will tell you that he's not opening. So the only way to do that will be to go back in time, get the key, and fuck him up. like we mentioned a few minutes ago, right? We have visited this place before on a different timeline. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back into the college, but the college of the future. So again, instead of going to Imperial Warrim, we're gonna go into the ruined era, and we're gonna go into the ruins of Welrim. And there we will find the college that has been destroyed. You can see, you can just follow the arrow. Again, this area is like back at level 16. Oops. We're level 26, so we can basically just like smurf it, you know. As you can see, the door is no longer there, has been destroyed. So we're gonna be able to get into the room with no issues. And right there's a corpse, and the corpse has a key. We take the key of the officer, and we go back to the present. It's a pretty cool questline in my opinion. I really hope they had more of this. Just like, I don't know, the kind of like time travel aspect of it is kind of cool, kind of unique. Again, we go back to Imperial, and we go to visit him again, since now we got a key. We are in the college once again. The areas respawn in this game, so keep that in mind, alright, when you're playing. Ooh, some necrotic. This is really, really nice actually, right now, because we're fighting necrotic. We're not fighting elementals. So we will equip this necrotic. And, I mean, dude, we don't really get any, some health regen, whatever, you know. And thanks to this, we have actually our necrotic quite high. Again, we use the key, and now we can go up to show him what's up. As you can see, the area looks quite different because it hasn't been consumed by the void yet. Be careful with this enemy, chimeras that use Death Screech. This attack, basically they will run into you and they will start channeling. If you get hit by that, because it's a damage over time, and you cannot block it or dodge it or mitigate it with armor or anything like that, you're most likely going to die, so be careful. Obviously it's pretty easy to juke at these levels because the enemies are fairly slow and fairly weak, but make sure you get familiar with the animation. They put their head down like that. They also have a big attack, like you can see. It's not that dangerous. And look who he is. The officer is here. And he's dead. So we killed him. We went back into the future. We grabbed the key, took the key, went back to the present to kill him so we could get the key in the future. It's like this spiral of kind of like a paradox almost, right? Of what's going on. I don't know, I think it's pretty fucking cool. Pretty good relic right there. We need the necro res at the moment, but later on the health regen would be nice. And again, we're done with this area. So we can go back to proceed to continuing our quest. This is just a side mission, but I think it's a pretty cool one, so I wanted to show it. This area looks pretty nice also. Now that we have done everything we had to do in the Imperial Whirlwind, we can proceed into the next area. Again, be careful with Immortalize. If you don't have necrotic resistance, they might fuck you up. This boss is an archer. Again, it's also optional. You don't need to kill him. He has like a multi-shot kind of like ability. You can kill him if you want. You know, to try to get some loot, since rares have a bit better chances of dropping more items and stuff. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. He has like a channeled attack kind of thing, and then he has this one, which is like a multi-shot. And then this like AoE. Again, pretty straightforward. Didn't drop much. We proceed. Someone's asking me in the chat, how can I explain how endurance damage reduction works? Well, it's just multiplicative with other sources through Gravas. So if you want to learn more about how to calculate HPs and mitigations, what I would recommend is to use this. 1 second. I'll show it in stream so people on YouTube know what I'm talking about. But there's this EHP page calculator. So if you wanted to, you know, you have endurance, you know, you can set up your threshold, right? You can set up your amount of DR that you get. 60 is the maximum, right? And you can add other sources of damage reduction from aspect of the board or whatever. And you get to see what your EHP is. You know, imagine you add 20% or 30% from aspect of the board. And you can see how much are you getting from it. I'll link it in the chat for those who want to use it. And I'll put it also in the description of the video. So if you guys want to play around to see what's more efficient for your builds, you can also use it. So let's proceed with the playthrough. A bit of a break, you know, from just to introduce some of the mechanics. Endurance is more like an endgame thing, honestly. So as a new player, when you're first starting, you just want to focus on your basic resistances, you know, get some HP, get some armor here and there, make sure you get your main abilities set up. And endurance is more of like an endgame kind of like resource. Careful with the turtles. And big AoEs. And these rogues that have 2 daggers, they do like a dash attack. And they can do a lot of damage if you're not careful. This is like an ambush type scenario. You basically have to kill enemies until this door opens. Make sure you interact with it, you know. You will see the dash attack they do. Careful. Be careful with that dash attack. Make sure you save your defensive capabilities for when they do that, because they can actually hurt quite a bit. I obviously have necrotic and physical resistance, so they didn't hurt much at all. But be careful, especially if you're under leveled. We're pretty over level, just because I'm taking my time, you know, explaining everything and killing all the mobs. Okay, we got a polearm. Let's see. I would recommend using grabbing all of the uniques, even if you don't need them, right? Because we're not gonna need a polearm ever with this character, because it's a mage. But they're worth 500 gold on the vendor, so they're actually worth quite a bit of money, especially early on. Alright, let's proceed. We survived the ambush. Someone's asking also, do you know what type of damages the enemies do just based on the spell effects? 99% of the time, yes, WOM. You know, if you see enemies and they have like red infused weapons, obviously it's gonna be fire. If they just have default weapons like metal looking stuff, it's gonna be normally just like physical. Some enemies though have like hybrid damage. For example, if you get hit by something like a marsh beetle or like a tiger or a wolf, some of those enemies have like hybrid cold and physical damage attacks and stuff like that. But it's a bit more advanced. It's more like endgame stuff. But yeah, for the most part, you know, no color means physical, green means necrotic, purple means void, white means cold, blue, lining looking thing means lining, red means fire, green, but more like toxic looking, like less bright, is poison. So yeah, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty straight, just like by colors and stuff. You can pretty much find out everything by yourself. Also, if you ever die, when you die, you get like a death recap. Obviously, I'm not gonna show it because we are on hardcore, right? And we cannot die, or the series is over, right? But it will show you what type of damage killed you, right? So again, another side area here. You can choose to not do this at the moment. It's completely optional. But I'm gonna do it, since we are doing everything. Oh, physical resistance and critical strike chance. That's pretty nice. Alright, that's it. We will notice we were fighting physical and necrotic enemies, and now void enemies are gonna appear, since we are visiting the ruined era. Obviously handy for us. We saved, we didn't trash or bender or void resistance gear. Again, you don't really need to do this if you're just playing softcore or whatever, but if you're playing hardcore, you want to be extra careful. Hey, why not just get your void resistance back on, you know, just to be extra safe. And now we're back at 30 void, right? Just in case, since we're gonna be fighting void enemies. Again, we have some leveling to do, so before we do that, let's do that. Right? We can work into our frost grip here. What else? We are working on mana, and area and attack speed would both be nice. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get some area. The area is nice in Mana Strike, because the bigger the area, the more enemies you hit, and the more mana you get, because you get mana based on enemy hit. And for Flameboard, we're just gonna grab the good old damage mitigation right here. This is really important. Every time you use the ability, you'll get extra damage mitigation. This is really, really good. I highly recommend getting this. It's kind of like mandatory for the class. Keep that in mind. We have 9 points to use. And again, as you guys remember, we are a sorcerer. We can use our sorcerer points. We are 100% gonna do a crit build. So that's what we're gonna work towards. We're gonna put these points into crit. Now, not all of them, because right now this is more like an endgame thing. So instead of putting everything on the crit, right? Everything on the crit, we're also gonna grab, we could grab some intelligence and some mana for sustain, or we could grab some arcane momentum, which gives us cast speed. Cast speed is really handy because it lets you kite and use your abilities faster. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get some cast speed. Alright, let's continue. You can see my my glacier is going slightly faster. Like the animation of my character actually using the skill got a bit faster thanks to the cast speed from the tree. So I feel I'm like less the combat gets a bit more fluid, the more attack speed, cast speed, and throwing attack speed and stuff like that, depending on the build you're using. Again, the void enemies. I know which way it is, which is this way. We need to. The quest says to explore the corrupted lake, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna explore the lake. Try to go around, see if we see something out of the ordinary. Spoiler alert, we will. Careful with the clerics. They put these AoEs on the floor and they can hurt quite a bit. These guys have like a cleave attack. As long as you like walk around in circles, most of the time they lock you, right? And then they use the attack. So you should be fine most of the time. See, like that. Group the enemies. Alright, good stuff. Seems like we have found something. Prophet of Ruin, it says. Let's kill this cleric. Nasty enemy. There's the cleric. He has a few attacks. He has a melee attack. It's physical and void. Be careful. He has these like balls that chase you. Just get out before they explode. And then he has like a big AoE that he casts, like a channel. That one. Make sure you don't go into that area. Or till it goes off. It's off. $2,000 with our crit proc. We can do that again. We hit with the small one. Be careful because the melee attack actually hurts quite a bit from this guy. Like if he hits you with the double cleave attack, be careful. Okay, now we spawn another Idol of Ruin. We fought this enemy before, like the big old worm. We should be fine. I bet this enemy here is a placeholder, and we're gonna get like some void octopus or some shit. You know, being a lake and all. Be careful with the AoEs he leaves on the floor. And he's dead. We got some idle slots, which means that we can now equip more idols. And this area is pretty easy, especially if you're already geared for void protection previously. Not a big deal. And we go back to the original teleport, where we came from. We took this portal right there, and now instead of taking it, we're just gonna proceed. Again, remember, we do not need the void protection anymore, so we can go back to our fist protection item. And we can put some points here. Let's continue. Necrotic wisps, these like blue looking things. Sorry, green looking things. They are motherfuckers. They lock you and then they do the attack. They also have this like AoE thingy. See, they lock and then they attack. They hurt a lot. They're pretty fast when they chase you around, you can see. And make sure that you juke when they're actually aiming at you. It's like target lock kind of thing. March beetles, they throw projectiles. Okay, we're level 28. This song from the soundtrack reminds me a lot of Diablo 2. Like Act 3 Diablo 2 or something, or Act 2. I don't know, it has like that Diablo 2 vibe. Cast speed, mana, not bad actually. Critical strike multiplayer. We will use this later on in the build, so we're gonna keep it. Now we're looking for help. We're looking for Alric, who's our contact, basically. But we get ambushed by the Imperium, and we kill them all. We're gonna have like a potpourri of enemies that we just fought, like the Rogue, the Immortali, the Chimeras. If you paid attention to all of them, you shouldn't struggle at all here. But be careful because it's quite a tricky area to pathfind around and stuff. But we did it, no big deal. Necrotic resistance, endurance. I'm gonna keep the Flame Ward.
Welcome, traveler.
Where is Alric? He is in the boat. He's been kidnapped by the navy of the Empire. So we're gonna go try to find him, where he has been kidnapped. Careful with the Soul Spear that we mentioned. The ice. Yeah, and you can go slower, you know, if you don't feel confident. Cliff of the Guardian, really nice. This area is pretty good for XP. It has a shit ton of zombies, shit tons of enemies. But be careful, you can get overwhelmed pretty easy. Big Beetle, also known as Beetle Queen, scary enemy. It has a slam attack and also a projectile that will kind of like multi-shot you, so just make sure that you keep distance on them. They can be pretty scary, especially if there's multiple of them. Alright. We're getting very close to our peak DPS on Glacier. We just need to level up one extra level to get this. Fading Echoes. That will be really big for our DPS, and you will see why. Alright, we got Arcane Momentum, so we have finally get our cast speed. And now we have different options. We could go for a defensive option here with Lost Knowledge. So every time we cast Glacier, which costs 47 mana, it's a 40 mana skill, so we will get Ward. But instead I'm gonna go for Mana and Intelligence, which is a bit of an aggressive path. Hello Tyra in the chat, what's up? That sounds like cash, boys. Again, like all the uniques are worth 500 gold, so make sure you always grab them. Nope. Good stuff. Nice. Am I doing good? Yes, I'm doing good. Thank you. Alright, as we mentioned, we have now got our glacier point that we were missing. This point is important because now we are reversing the explosions. Why is this important? Because as we mentioned, we are using this amulet that gives us crit chance on our first hit. So now our first hit is gonna be the big boy hit. So now what we can do is we can group up all the enemies like this and crit them like crazy every 4 seconds. You will see. Just like that, basically. 1000 crits, you know, in the campaign, pretty good. Big clear. And we group them, boom. Looks like they changed the placement of this door since the last time I played the campaign. Now it is up there. Let's grab it. Pretty fucking nice, pretty fucking nice. And we're getting close to the Juggernaut, which is the name of the Imperium's boat that we need to like attack this boat. Dreadnought. Sorry, not Juggernaut. Dreadnought. Here is where they have Arik. We need to save him, but there will be an enemy that will be defending him. Didn't get much from the chest. Careful, we are marked for that. When you are marked for that, all of your resistances go down by 25%, flat, right? So it's actually nasty. So if you imagine you have 25 resistances, right, versus necrotic and physical, if you get marked for that, this thing, your resistances will go down to 0. So don't, you have to respect it, also in the endgame. It's a big difference. You're gonna be basically taking 25% more damage if you have that on you. So, right. We are now at the deck of the Imperial Dreadnought. So mana strike. Again, we were saying we were building attack speed and area, so that's what we're gonna do. A bit of both, you know. Put some resources. Kill them all. Well, we got elemental resistance, gonna be handy, and armor. Nothing else. Thank you very much, Boneflake, for the sub, by the way. I have alerts off because I'm doing this YouTube thing. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Now, you guys remember that I mentioned that we were gonna fight a very lining heavy enemy. Well, we're doing pretty good on our resistances because we are a sorcerer and we get some from our passives on the mage. But there's never enough when it comes to these fights. So we will equip some of the lining resistance that we found earlier. Where was it? Lining resistance right there. Really nice. Again, we save this because we will use it. And again, this is giving us +1. I'm gonna keep the +1 to Glacier. We are now at 65 lining. So we should be pretty tanky against this guy. He does necrotic and he does lining. Did you see these lining things? They can crit you. He has a very, very high crit chance, so be very careful because he can really burst you, this guy, and you don't expect it. It's not a hard fight by no means, but be careful. He has this Nova will hit hard. Just keep moving. Then he has the kind of like channel thingy AoE, and then all of these like lining things. You will see like little balls on the floor, and you just try don't step into the stuff on the floor basically. That's kind of what it comes down to. These things will hit you. Careful. Right, these things will hit you. Be careful. Saving for the big crit, the 2000 crit. Another one. Boom. Another one. Fucked it up there. Okay. Look at the damage he did to me there. Because he crit me. So again, keeping in mind that I had pretty good resistances versus him, you gotta respect him. This is a pretty nice helmet also. Alright, weapon with lining damage, increased cast speed. Not really good for us, but what do we have? Necrotic damage, fire damage 19, 6 health on kill. The cast speed is nice. We're not doing lining damage, but if you were, it would have been a pretty decent weapon. I'll keep it just in case we respect or something. Now we talk to Ulrich, and we told him that we can swim really well.
Give me the signal, and I'll be right behind you.
Let's go up to the border of the Juggernaut, like the Dreadnought, and let's jump.
Ready for a swim?
And this will be the end of Act 4. Rick meets us at the beach.
These robes are not meant for swimming. I'll be soaked for hours.
Sad. Again, this is the end of Act 4, and it will be the... or 3. It will be the end of this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.